Welcome back live to Live Your True Life Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. Joining me this evening is a good friend of mine, somebody I respect and admire, Chris Howell. Chris Howell has a communications firm, a PR, media, digital marketing, and event services firm. They do a lot of problem solving, and there's a lot of creativity involved. Chris, I'm so glad you're here to join me live on Live Your True Life Perspectives. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here. I've always wanted to be on your show, so I'm excited about being here.
Well, I am glad to have you on the show. I have been on your show, and I really enjoyed myself, and it was a lot of fun. And I want to talk to you first off about a little bit about your background, because I think what you do is very interesting, and I know you work with both, for-profit and non-for-profit. Tell me how you got into the industry.
Well, it started out for me really as a radio news reporter. I had the opportunity to work for a local radio station in Dallas as a news reporter for them for about 7 years. And in that process, had the opportunity to help organizations to tell their stories, to really kind of shape how the public view them. So it was in that process that I thought, I'd like to continue this. So when the opportunity at the radio station ended, I then formed my own company. It's Chris Howell Communications. And as you stated, we help organizations and individuals tell their story.
That's awesome. What are some of the most fun clients that you've worked with?
Some of the most fun clients that I've had the opportunity to work with, I guess, would really be when we have the opportunity to work with Motive Entertainment. They are based in California, and we had the opportunity to work on a couple of movie projects for them. They do a lot of grassroots marketing for faith-based films, and we had the opportunity to work on Little Boy, The Good Lie, and the latest one was Ben-Hur. So we had the opportunity to go down to Houston to do a red carpet premiere, and you had to see this. Not only, typically premieres take place in L.A. This particular premiere was in Houston. So it was the opportunity for Houston, who's who of Houston, to come together with who's who of L.A., Mark Burnett, Roma Downey, Joel Osteen, his wife, and some other folks who were in attendance there, and to just see that type of energy that normally has to take place in L.A. to take place in Houston. It was very exciting for us, and we were able to capture that, put together a recap of video for them to show all of the things that took place in that setting, and it was a lot of fun.
That's neat. I love film premieres. Some people say, why do you love them so much? I just like being it's like you're in the moment. It's almost like being at a concert, right?
Absolutely.
And you might not always love what the band plays at the concert, but you were there live.
Absolutely. And one of the things like that is that it's been a lot of hard work and dedication and money and energy and things been tied to the project to make the project happen. So it's almost like being at the birthing of a baby. Now everyone's coming, for this baby to be birthed to see, how the public's going to receive it. So it's always exciting to see that.
I love that. And I love when things come to fruition, too. It's always nice to see things actually take place. So let me ask you, where are some of the places that you traveled doing this work? Because I know that you traveled quite extensively.
I've had the opportunity to go to Winnipeg, Canada. I've had the opportunity to go to Honduras, India, New Delhi, India, and had the opportunity to, of course, now personal travel, of course, a 3-month project that my wife does. She's a medical consultant. A project was going to take about 3 months, ended up being a 2-year project. So we basically, this past couple of years, basically lived in Hawaii, going back and forth, working with her on that project.
Oh, that's nice.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's the hard life, living in Hawaii.
I'm telling you, it was
hard.
extremely tough. I mean, the 8.5-hour plane ride going back and forth out there. I mean, man, nobody wants to do that.
Yeah, but it's like the intermediate. It's between those flights, I saw some of the pictures. I remember you sent me some of the pictures on.
Oh, you're talking about the one with me surfing?
Oh, yeah. I was like, it was like you surfing, or there was like pineapples and pina coladas and like.
Wait a minute, not in the same picture though. You're saying when I hit the water, the pineapples and everything started flying out? Here's a 240-pound black guy surfing. Yes, we do surf.
You're like, yes, we do. I'm breaking the Mythbusters right now. We do surf.
Absolutely.
Do you like to surf?
That was the one and only time, and I'd like to try it again. Yes,
that's cool. I respect.
I would
that.
like to try it again.
I haven't been that adventurous, really. Honestly,
I find that hard to believe because just listening to you and talking with you, you sound like a pretty adventurous person.
I am, but the surfing thing, that's a lot going on. You're going out in the water and you're waiting around for a wave, and then you get this wave and you paddle really fast, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, when you say that, and I know you'll appreciate this because I have often thought what type of message I could speak on from that lesson, because I had an instructor out there with me and he would tell me, no, let that wave pass you by. Okay, go for this one. And I think that's a lot like life. there are opportunities that come your way in life, and you don't want to jump on every one of them because it may look like the right opportunity, but it's not always the case. You have to wait for the right one. And I know you'll probably take that and you'll develop a message around
Love
that
that.
someday.
You see my wheels moving. You're
I
like,
saw
oh,
that. Yeah.
Lordy. You're like, here comes the gerbils right out there on the wheel. No, but it's true. You're right. It's like a lot of times we have that tendency, and I'd like to go into that right now. We have that tendency of when somebody comes to us about something, and I think there's let's talk about three different waves, right? You have that wave which is like, oh, hey, help me do this or get involved with this, and it has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
And haven't you had that tendency to sit there and go, you okay? And then when I back up nowadays, I back up and I go, wait a second. Okay, how did I just get into this? Or why is this even a part of my duty? Yeah. And then I realize a lot of times it's my ego that wants to jump in and save the day,
Yes.
you know?
Yes. You know, and it's not just you. I think we're all that way because we have people that are in our lives for one reason or another, and we care about them. So when they have a situation or a problem, we want to jump in and help them out. But again, we have to understand that just because we're talented and gifted to be able to do a lot of things doesn't mean that we have to try to do everything. And I am personally doing an inventory of how I take on assignments and opportunities because I don't want to try to be involved with everything. I'm reading the book, The One Thing, and it's really helping me to understand that really you have to hone in and throw all of your energy behind that one thing. And right now, that is our company, moving that company forward. And that's going to then open up the opportunity for so many other things.
That's neat because I think oftentimes we all get scared because we have had a little regret in our life. Yep. And we didn't follow something. And I don't know if that's always the truth. You know, sometimes I think we don't follow it for a reason, but I think we still beat ourselves up over it. And I think that oftentimes in those situations when somebody comes with us with a deal or anything, we sit there, I better listen to this. I better look into this. And now you're right. I've been recently in the last 2 years saying no. I mean, I really appreciate it, but I'm not interested. It should be for somebody else. I just don't have the amount of time to adequately, give to that. And it's not really my deal. It's not really where I want to go.
Right.
So you're really focusing on one thing.
That's it. I mean, because I really used to have a hard time and a challenge with understanding why someone would say no to an opportunity because I thought let's say you had the time to do it. So I thought if you have the time to do it, you should do it. But I'm really beginning to understand now that I need to block off certain hours and time of the day to where I just really don't do anything but think about the next move that I need to make. So it's not, now I have to understand that when I prioritize my time, I really don't have the time to do it. But I used to think, well, I've got a free hour. I could go to a luncheon and I can hear a presentation or something of that nature. No, that's an hour now where I take and I'm actually, if I don't sit in my office and look out the window and process the next move that I need to make, then that's the time that I'm investing in my own business and in myself, as opposed to giving it towards something that I'm not really interested in.
That's neat. I think a lot of our listeners can connect with that because oftentimes I find, whether you're, working 2 jobs, whether you're a stay-at-home mom, whatever it is, I think oftentimes we bite off more than we can chew. And then we kind of get a little angry about it. And I don't know about you, but I've been in that position where I have decided, okay, yes, I'll do that. And somebody asked me if I can do something. And certainly I said, okay, I'm in, and then I show up. And it's 100 million times harder than what they told me. And there's 1,000 people standing there waiting for me to do something when I thought there was going to be 10 people. And it all needed to be done 4 hours ago. Yep. And I'm thinking, what have I signed up for? But I can't leave because I'm a straight up person. I'm going to do what I say. But oftentimes we miss the boat because we don't ask the right questions. Right. We don't ask all the questions we want because we want to people please too, though, right? I think us humans have a tendency of doing that ever since we were a child.
Right. You know what? I think that's part of it. And I guess you're absolutely right. You get yourself in a situation and then you're regretting it and you're feeling bad about it because, like you said, you're going to honor your commitment to your commitment. So you're going to stay there, but you're really kicking yourself the entire time thinking, why did I allow this to happen to me again? Because it's happened to you before. So why did I allow this to happen to me again? But here's what I'm also starting to do. And I really hope your listeners, my heart. I really hope that your listeners can hear my heart in this as well, not sound like some conceited guy or something. But I am really starting to just evaluate where I am in life and really starting to ask the question when I'm asked to do things. I do ask the question now, what's in it for me? And I've never been that way in my life. And because I was never that way, I would allow myself to continually get in situations that I would then regret. But when someone comes to me with something now, if I then ask the question, what's in it for me? It gives me the opportunity to truly process it and understand whether or not I have within me what I need to give to that situation. And in return, will I actually get what I need out of that situation to help move what I'm trying to do forward as well? And when I take it through that process, it allows me to easily say no to opportunities that really don't allow me to be 100% to it or give me what I need in return.
That's interesting. No, and I've always known you as a person that has a really good heart and somebody that's really down to earth, and that's awesome. And I think oftentimes we don't think about that because we think, oh, well, that's selfish, but it really isn't, because if there's not really something that propels you forward toward your purpose or towards your direction, then are you doing it for the right reasons?
Man.
Would somebody else have come in and done a better job because it is on their purpose? And are we thinking that we're saving the day when in reality what we're doing is getting off base, getting off target, and then somebody else could have done the job and they might have propelled into their purpose when we basically just kind of mucked everything up?
Yeah. Yeah, I like the way you put that, because you're absolutely right. I mean, it's one of those things where you get to, you know, I don't want to sound like I'm over the hill or something. I'm 42 years old, but at the same time, you still evaluate your time and you evaluate, you know, your legacy. And at this point, you start thinking about these are those years where you really have to start making a mark. And so you have to evaluate where you spend your time, where you spend your energy, and what things you allow to even come into your space.
I love that. I love that. I think everybody listening also, when you think about it, where in your life right now are you dealing with this situation? Where in your life right now are you spread too thin? And I think when you analyze that right now, take the moment right now, like Chris was talking about, like looking out the window, if you're driving, if you're sitting at the office, if you're at home making dinner, and really focus on that, because that's really important. And I think that we try to do everything, and when we try to do everything, we don't do anything really that good. And so we're kind of spread thin, we're kind of in a bad mood, and then we look at ourselves and we think, well, what have I done to better my life? And then we kind of do things out of an anger. And I remember a long time ago, you'll get a laugh out of this, Chris. You'll get a laugh at it.
Uh-huh.
This was a long time ago. This was about, I guess this was before I was even married. So I would say this was like 13, 14 years ago or something like that. And I remember I was asked to photograph a wedding. And so I was like, this is great. And it was the pre-wedding before they went to Hawaii. So I was doing the big party, and there's like the mayors of a couple of cities there, and there's all these people. And so I was like, perfect. And so about a week before, they said, if you can put up some of your artwork, because I used to be a photographer in another life, you know?
Okay.
So on the side, I used to be a professional photographer years and years and years ago when I was working through college and putting myself through college.
Okay.
So I hung up all this stuff at their house days before.
Uh-huh.
And I remember I went and got extra frames, and I spent money out of my own pocket to do this, right? And
Yes.
so I remember I showed up the night of it, and I looked at the guy that was getting married, and I'm like, hey, you know, and he was like, I was like, hey, can we talk a second? I was like, I know you said you were going to go on and pay me. You can just pay me half right now, and then when I get everything back in, you know, after your wedding, then you can just pay me the other half. He's like, oh, so cash? I'm like, cash is fine, check is fine, cash or check is fine. Well, I don't have
Either way.
cash. And I go, okay, what about check? I don't know where my checkbook is. And I remember I kind of looked around and I went, and I wanted to leave, but unfortunately, because of my ethics, I didn't. And no, I did not get paid. And yes, I had to actually almost, you know, basically say, I will come to your house with the police to get my pieces of work if you do not let me in. And I realized right then and there, honestly, you have to really understand who are you dealing with and what's their values.
Yes.
And I think that when you're conscious of that too, and it's not just about the money, okay? The money is just like, it's basically an exchange of goods, right? So like if I'm seeing somebody as a therapist, what comes back, like for me, like you were saying, what do I get out of it? I'm helping them. How do I get something out of it? And so that was interesting. And I learned a lot about that because I realized that my self-esteem wasn't where it needed to be, and my acceptance of myself wasn't where it needed to be. Otherwise, I would never have been in that position.
Man. That is so true. I mean, you know, everything that you just described there is, for those of the listeners that are entrepreneurs have probably been in that situation at some point. But it's when you begin to value the product that you have and the service that you have to offer that you will then demand an agreement, a written agreement, and then you will demand a deposit for your work. And yes, you were fair with them. You said, I'll collect the rest of it when I bring you back the finished photographs. And that's understandable. But to think that you're not going to give me a deposit for my work, no, that's just not going to happen. It was a learning experience for you, but I know today you would never allow that to happen again. Because of that one experience.
Oh,
so
Chris, it was a learning experience. It was a big time. When we return, we'll be talking more about learning experiences, how we overcame that, some stuff that Chris is working on. Also, we'll be talking later on in the hour about his nonprofit, which I want to talk about that as well. So stay tuned, because Live Your True Life Perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess. We'll be back this time. And oh, come on, you know this already. We'll be back this time in 2 shakes. Welcome back live to Live Your True Life Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess.
And I'm on Chris Howell. I'm your guest, Chris Howell.
And this is my guest, Chris Howell. I love it. Chris is awesome. Chris and I have known each other for a long period of time, and I'm always impressed by our ability to have an amazing conversation. I mean, seriously, we can converse on almost anything.
Yep. I mean, because you're so well versed. I mean, you know just everything. So
You do.
it makes for a great conversation, you know?
We know everything.
I don't know everything. I just try to hang out with people like Ashley that does.
Love it. We were talking before the break. We were talking about the waves of life, and Chris was talking about when he was learning how to surf in Hawaii, and how really, honestly, like his his coach or his surfing. What do you call it?
He was a surfing instructor.
Surfing
yeah,
instructor.
He's teaching the lessons out there for like what, $45 an hour or something.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I only spent an hour at $45.
You're like, now I need to go have a Mai Tai, please.
That's it.
No, seriously though, and he said, don't take some of the waves. He's like, well, wait out on that wave or wait. And it's interesting how you were thinking about how that's like life, and that is really neat, and that really applies to I think most of the people listening to this show. Is that oftentimes, I mean, it's almost like playing a softball game where you go after every one of them. Some of them are in the dirt, some of them are over your head, some of them hit you in the arm. And you're like, why am I doing this? I mean, when something comes clear in and makes, you see it and you can see it coming in, that's usually the sign of something that has potential.
Absolutely. And the other thing is, I like your softball analogy. If you're swinging at everything, you won't have the energy to make the run once you actually connect something. So you really have to make sure that you're not swinging at everything so that when you do get that one thing that you've been designed and created to do, you have the energy to run the race to see that through to completion.
That's so true. And I think oftentimes, like, we're just so scared of regret. But then you have the other side of the coin. You have people that, unfortunately, and I've been there before, where you just don't do. Where you get stuck in non-movement, where we sit there and we watch every wave. We watch every ball come over that plate, and we stand there and watch. And then later on we say, well, life's been passing me by. And I think that's based on the fact that you're too scared to get in. You're too scared to get into the game of life because what if something happens? What if you get told no? What if it doesn't work out? And instead of, I don't think there's any failure when you actually try. Right. But instead of having that failure feeling, you're like, well, I just don't want to deal with it at all.
Man, I will tell you, I used to be one of those people. I was always afraid of failure. And I thought, man, I do not want to fail. I don't want to try because I don't want to fail. That whole thing you just talked about. And then I heard someone say one day that you will never really experience success until you're not afraid to fail. And man, that just really just resonated with me. And I thought, you know what? That is true. I'm never going to really get good at it until I do it. So it reminds me also of something that Les Brown says. He talks about the fact that you don't have to be great to get started, but in order to become great, you have to start.
I love that.
Yeah, so it's just, take the brakes off. To the person who's listening today who's thinking, you know what, that resonates with me. Take the brakes off. Get out there and get started. You may fail, but you know what? If you don't succeed the first time, try and try again. And it's through the process of trying that you begin to learn how to do it and do it better. And then ultimately you have the success that you desire.
I love that. And I think that's the problem too in our society today is that we look up to a lot of folks that have done a lot of things and everybody kind of gets scared. Well, I don't have that same worth. And I think it goes back to value. And I think when I was growing up, I didn't have an adequate self-value. Yeah. And I didn't see it. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of things in my way from seeing that. And I think a lot of people go through that. And that's why we look down upon ourselves. That's why we want to try to change everything. Yeah. That's why we can't accept what we consider not that good, sides of ourselves. Like, for example, I have clients that come into my office all the time that literally like, well, look at this. And my hair looks like crap. And my job is this way. And I have a pimple on my face. And how can I love that? I'm like, well, you have to. Yeah. Because if you don't love that, it's not about being perfect. There comes a time when we realize that once we begin to love what we have, all of a sudden we begin to see the beauty in that. Then we get to love that, and then we turn around and realize the beauty in others and love that, and we're not so judgmental and hard on other people. Man,
that is so true. It's really about the message that you're telling yourself and how you talk to yourself and the messages that you're surrounding yourself with. So I'm glad you're listening to Ashley's show because, again, Ashley's going to give you that positive information and that positive reinforcement that we all need. And I think you to take it even further, each morning when I get up, up, one of the things that I'm doing now and have been doing now for the last maybe 6 months or so is that every morning I get up, before I start jumping on Facebook and social media and all those other different places, I actually go through a process of reading my Bible, first of all. And then the other thing is I actually start listening to positive messages. It's that, and I listen to some of the same messages over and over. It's either Les Brown or Zig Ziglar, John Maxwell, some of those guys just giving me that positive reinforcement. So when I go out and face today, I've come in with a foundation built already. So no matter what comes my way, I've actually got something to fight back with.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's smart.
It works for me.
Because I've tried it the other way. I've tried it the other way, where you get out of bed and you literally, it's immediate. You get out of bed and you grab the phone and you're in the dark basically, and you're looking at social media. And one time it was funny, I dropped my phone on my nose and almost broke it. But anyway, I was like, oh,
that should make you never do that again.
I was like, oh. And it was pretty funny. And there was somebody else that had done it the same day, and they actually broke their nose. But anyway, I lucked out. But it was funny, though, because I was watching everybody on Instagram, and I was looking at this, and I was looking at that, and I started, like, downplaying my own life.
Yeah. You're comparing yourself to others. Oh, man, their life is so wonderful. No, they're just showing you the wonderful moments.
Exactly.
You're not seeing behind the scenes.
And how many times did it take them to shoot that one shot?
Yeah. You know what? I'll equate it to this. It's just like me on the surfboard. If you see that photo that the guy managed to snap within that a tenth of a second, I can't think of what it would probably be. I look like I'm surfing, man. I look like I know what I'm doing. And the next shot, I'm going face down into the water. So, I mean, don't compare yourself to others, because, again, that was just a photo snapped in that moment. And you've got
a great moment, though. It was a great moment.
It really was. It really was. I mean, I've got that on my screensaver on my computer because, I mean, it's a moment that I'll probably never have again.
That's
I don't
cool,
know.
though. Well, I had the same type of moment years ago when I was on the Matterhorn, and I didn't want to ski, and I said I wasn't going to ski, and then somebody talked me into it. And anyway, they got me somebody to coach me how to do it. I remember there's like 2 or 3 shots I have that makes me look really, really cool.
Yeah.
But I was terrified.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, I haven't even had back surgery yet. I have back surgery coming up. I'm terrified. I mean, if I fall, I'm not getting off this mountain on my own, Man,
you just said something, though. You felt the fear, but you did it anyway. That's another thing I tell people, to the person who's not, getting started, to the person who's too afraid, who's too nervous, who think they don't have what it takes to get going. Feel the fear, do it anyway. Get out there and do it anyway. You did it. You felt the fear, but you did it anyway, and now you got that picture that doesn't show any type of fear at all. It just shows you doing your thing.
Just crazy. All it shows is crazy. I'm just kidding. Seriously, it's like, what? I mean, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this, but it all worked out. And you're right, it all worked out. And I think we have to overcome that fear. Yeah. And I know you would know this better than most people, is that usually when we want to overcome fear, what's the best way we deal with it? We help other people.
Yep. Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I've always done. I really have always tried to, anything that I've ever done, I've tried to volunteer to do it first, and A, to help others, and B, to gain the experience in that area, and then to be able to evaluate whether or not it really is truly something that I desire to do, whether it's speaking, whether it's video production, or whatever it is that we do. I've always volunteered to do it first.
That's awesome.
Yeah, helping someone else.
When did you first started volunteering? When you were like 5 or?
No, I wouldn't say that old. I guess first started volunteering at roughly about maybe 15, 16 years old.
Okay.
Yeah. Because at that point I was still trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to do when I became an adult, So I thought, let me volunteer in some areas and kind of try out a few things and see what sticks.
What were some of the things that you volunteered back then? Doing?
But at the time, it was actually volunteering at my church, helping to, serve as an usher at the church, as a volunteer to go up and help painting when they needed painting and, different things like that. In the community, it was any organization. It was like sports programs. If they had a sports program and they need someone just to carry the bag for the players, because I couldn't play any sports at all. I never played any sports. Don't really understand them. But I was there. I don't. I had kids at a very early age.
Okay.
So I had my first kid when I was 16 years old.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So when it was an opportunity to go and maybe just help out with the players and help them, meet their needs or whatever, it was doing things like that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's neat.
But it gave you a heart. It gave you, I guess I've always had a what you would refer to as a servant's heart. Yeah, the opportunity to serve others. So that's why I wanted to make sure I made that distinguishing point early on a moment ago, that this new way of evaluating things is not some conceited or selfish type person. It's just that I have to really evaluate my time.
Well, I agree with you. And I think that when you are giving your time, that's awesome. But it's also important to feel good about your purpose.
Yeah.
And I think purpose does come from serving others to some degree. I think that there's a facet of all of our purposes. Like, part of what I'm doing is to help people understand who they are, to be able to figure out who they are authentically, how to get past the stuff that they were taught by, most of them are or family that was trying to be helpful, but they didn't know any better. They knew what they knew, and so they taught that. And so getting people out of that mind thought, if they were around negative or abusive families, being able to get out of that mind thought and being able to see themselves for who they really are, and that's something that I'm working with to do, and I think it's important, and that has a great payout for these people in the end, because I help people, and they get help, and then they can also, stop the cycle.
Right.
And so, like, tell me a little bit about your Well, actually, when we come back from break, I want you to begin talking about your nonprofit.
Okay.
Because I want to hear more about that, and I want to hear about how you got into that.
Okay, good deal.
So stay tuned. Live your true life perspectives. Chris Howell is joining me. We'll be back in 2 shakes.